Afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being in attendance and for helping us spread this really important information to all of our neighbors, including all of our new neighbors that are incoming into the city for the first time. My name is Tanya Del Rio. I'm the commissioner at Inspectional Services. I'm joined by a number of colleagues that are going to share information on behalf of their departments about student move-in this year. I first want to just share a little bit about my experience. I did move to Boston as a student some time ago, and I am grateful for the opportunity to to talk to people who are going through that same experience. For me, it does make me recall some happy memories. It's just nice to come to the city. Come in, you see it. It's beautiful. There's boats in the sailboats in the Charles. There's just the beauty of the city, the row houses in the South End, the Back Bay, the red bricks of the Freedom Trail. So it just, for me, reminds me of a nice feeling, especially that feeling of anticipation and of promise that you have when you're a young person moving into adulthood. And really, I think what's most exciting for all, and I remember that, is just all that free furniture on the street, which I will come back to in a second. But in any case, it also reminds me of how I was wondering at that time what kind of home Boston was going to be for me. And little did I know that Boston ended up being, well, of course, my forever home, in a place that really embraced me and that brought endless opportunities to me, from starting my family to buying my first home to becoming part of a really supportive community. Shout out to East Boston. And I'm going to be trying to channel just Mayor Wu for a second here, because you will often see her talking about the concept of home and how the main focus of this administration is to make Boston feel like home for everyone. And for that to really happen, city government has to make sure that the spaces where we exist, and not only the confines of the walls of your unit, but all of the spaces where we exist, our streets, our open spaces, have that feeling that we all expect from home. So a home should feel safe, a home should feel healthy, and at home you should feel connected and supported. So safe, healthy, connected, and supported. And like I said, we want that feeling for every resident, and we want it to expand beyond their unit. And that's why we're all here today. We want you to know that as a resident in Boston, you can count on us, and I mean all of us, as city workers. And we do that not just through enforcement. I would say importantly, through assistance for residents and for property owners. We want to help everyone make sure that they understand the regulations that are in place to keep our spaces safe and healthy, and that you're empowered to and knowledgeable enough to comply with all of those regulations that we're here to assist with and to also enforce. So I'll share with you a little bit about what you can expect from the Inspectional Services departments. My other colleagues are going to share on behalf of their departments. So for us, starting today into tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we've deployed more than 50 inspectors that are going to be canvassing the neighborhoods that we know have high student populations. You can expect that to happen in Allston, Brighton, Mission Hill, and the Kenmore Fenway area. Our goals on these canvases are going to be to conduct on-the-spot inspections at the request of the people who are going to be tenants in these units, to meet the safety and sanitary standards. We're also going to be educating students, parents, and all neighbors that are around about the sanitary codes around housing. And we're going to be providing property owners and tenants with information about effective rodent control, which is a big focus of the city this year and into the future. In general, property owners and tenants should know the following things. One, that the units must be delivered in clean, safe, and sanitary conditions, free of garbage. Property owners and managers who don't live in the building need to display their information, their contact information, in a prominent place that's very visible both to city staff and to the tenants. All units need to be equipped, obviously, with a working smoke and carbon monoxide detectors. And as a reminder, all rental units in the city need to be registered with the Inspectional Services Rental Registry Program. And those registries do need to be renewed every year. So, reminder. You can find all that information about how to register and about how to make sure your unit is compliant with all the regulations at boston.gov/ISD. We have useful checklists that you can look at just to make sure as an owner your property is up to the standard that we are hoping we can deliver. We are also suspending construction permits for this weekend in those neighborhoods. So we will not be doing after hours permits on Fridays or weekend permits in these neighborhoods so that we can make room for all of the moving trucks. We do encourage anyone that has questions about any of this to call the 311 number, use the mobile app. We are there available to respond to any of your inquiries. And then, as I mentioned, I did want to talk a little bit about our most beloved tradition, Allston Christmas, which I think is almost as beloved as getting stirred. Here's my confession. As a student, I did pick up an item or two. So you can imagine that I'm not getting a ton of joy from saying this. However, we do not encourage anyone from picking up furniture, discarded or used furniture on the streets. The reason for that is it can have bed bugs, and you can not only get your own unit infested, you could get your neighbor's units infested. So fair warning, it's not a good idea. Please avoid picking up discarded furniture from the street. I know you're going to hear a little bit about that from my colleagues at Public Works. And okay, lastly, you're going to be hearing from Assistant Commissioner for Environmental Services in our department, John Ulrich, aka our Red Czar, a little bit about rodent control. But I do want to say just one thing about that. The main driver of rodent populations is providing food for them. Rats eat our trash. Our invitation to you is to play your part as a resident and not create a buffet for rodents by placing your trash out on the street inappropriately. How can you place it out on the street appropriately? We are encouraging everyone to put their trash inside metal or plastic containers that are rodent-proof and that have a lid. So again, plastic or metal containers that are rodent-proof and that have a lid. That will go a long way in helping us prevent those rodent populations from growing. And as I said, you will hear a little more about tips to mitigate rodents from John. So with that, I do want to say welcome to Boston. Whether you're going to make it your home for the next few years or forever, like I did, please enjoy everything that this wonderful city has to offer and have a wonderful time during Allston Christmas. I'm turning it over now to my wonderful colleague, Connor, from the Office of Neighborhood Services. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Hello, my name is Connor Newman. I serve as one of the Deputy Directors for the Office of Neighborhood Services, which is a part of the Community Engagement Cabinet for the City of Boston. Our cabinet leads the city's work towards eliminating silos between Boston residents and City Hall. I encourage you to get to know your neighbors by attending a meeting with your local civic association or sign up to help beautify your neighborhood through the Mayor's Office of Civic Organizing's Love Your Block neighborhood cleanups. We also have opportunities for folks to attend events hosted by Spark Boston, which is an office within our cabinet that connects young adults to local government. Our cabinet houses the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. Each neighborhood has a designated liaison to help residents, business owners, and organizations navigate city services and connect to needed resources. Liaisons will be out in the neighborhood Saturday and Sunday to do walkthroughs to ensure our streets are clear and conditions are prepared for move-ins to occur smoothly. Liaisons will be around to welcome our new residents to Boston and distribute our Welcome to Boston guides right here to community members as they're moving in. It's also available to be downloaded. We have 12 different languages available at boston.gov/residents. You can subscribe to your neighborhood newsletters written by liaisons by visiting the newsletter.boston.gov to stay informed about what's happening in your neighborhood. Another great resource for residents is 311. That's the Mayor's 24/7 non-emergency hotline, where you can connect to any city department or report any concerns such as missed trash pickup, to request public vandalism to be cleaned up, report illegal dumping if it's obstructing the sidewalk and preventing our disabled residents from being able to access safely, there's illegal parking occurring where people are parked in handicap spots or blocking sidewalks or crosswalks, you can utilize by calling 617-635-4500. We also have the mobile app as well, which is a great resource. It allows you to take photos. You can download that, BOS:311, that's the app. And there's a student move-in section specifically to report student move-in issues that you might see happen in the neighborhood over this weekend or the following days as well. If you're going to be disposing of your mattress, you should be checking the city website to schedule a pickup. That's the only way it's going to be serviced. It's boston.gov/mattresses. So thank you so much. Welcome to Boston. And I'll turn it over now to Assistant Commissioner John Ulrich from the Inspectional Services Department's Environment Division.
Thanks, Colin. Good afternoon, John Ulrich. I'm the Assistant Commissioner of Environmental Services at ISD. We have 14 licensed inspectors that deal with rodent and trash complaints across the city. The mayor launched the Boston Rodent Action Plan in June. Since then, we have coordinated city departments with our resources and staff to address the rodent activity across the city. We've completed 27 walkthroughs in neighborhoods, surveyed sewers, and increased enforcement in every neighborhood across the city. Rodent activity is driven by food, mainly trash, but also feeding birds, cleaning up after your pets. Anything that could become a food source for rodents, you should eliminate. If you need help, reach out to Boston 311. When you call 311 and put in a complaint for rodent activity or trash, that goes through the system of 311 and is directed to an environmental health inspector who will respond within 24 to 48 hours. Again, we're here to help. There's 50 ISD inspectors that respond to rodent complaints across the city. So reach out to Boston 311 if you need assistance. I'll turn it over to Nicholas Grove. Yep. So the complaints are up, but I think that is our outreach with the city. It's difficult to gauge rodent population. It's difficult to think, but I think we're making huge headways with the programs. We've run pilot programs, working on containerization. Containerization is where we're going to get the biggest impact on rodent activity. So residential trash, making sure your trash is in barrels with lids. We're working on city trash cans, parks, public works barrels, making sure your trash doesn't become a food source for rodents. I'll turn it over to Nicholas Grove at Transportation.
So good afternoon, my name's Nick Gove, Deputy Chief for Transportation, also serving as BTD Commissioner. During this busy time in the city of Boston, the Boston Transportation Department partners with other city departments to keep streets clear so emergency and sanitation vehicles can safely pass and provide services throughout the city. We ask residents and visitors to be mindful of parking regulations, both permanent and temporary. These regulations have been put in place to keep our streets clear and safe. Please do not stop in a fire lane, park in front of a fire hydrant, or block access to a street. We need to keep these spaces clear for our emergency vehicles if needed. We also don't want to create obstacles or barriers for pedestrians, cyclists, transit users, and people with a mobility impairment. Please make sure there is space on the sidewalk for pedestrians to pass, and do not block crosswalks, ramps, or bus or bike lanes with vehicles or belongings. As of yesterday, the City of Boston issued over 3,400 permits this month. These areas are posted with temporary parking restrictions to keep space clear for moving trucks. These temporary restrictions are posted in the form of paper signage, usually affixed to a signpost or a building. The posted areas include streets with a high volume of student residents. If you are using one of these spaces, please load and unload as quickly as possible so others who need the space also have access to it. BTD's parking enforcement team will be deployed citywide to help keep things moving this weekend. We don't want to ticket and tow, so please pay attention to posted signs and do not double park or block streets or intersections. If you believe your vehicle may have been towed, please visit the transportation webpage via boston.gov to access our online license plate lookup tool. If you are new to the City of Boston, or you're moving to a new neighborhood and you have a vehicle, please check if your street has resident parking requirements. If so, you can apply for a permit online by visiting the Office of the Parking Clerk webpage or by visiting the parking clerk's office in person at City Hall. Lastly, if you have any questions, as Connor mentioned, please contact 311 or utilize the app. This can be a very stressful few days in the city. Please be patient and work with each other to make this a successful move-in week. Thank you, and with that, I'll hand it over to Mike Brohl, Superintendent of Basic City Services.
Mike Brohl, Superintendent of Basic City Services, happy to speak today on behalf of multiple departments who work awfully hard on the student move-in apartment turnover season. As we talk about a day, for those hardworking men and women, it's about two and a half weeks of heavier trash volumes, extra ticket writing for places that are out of violation, and a lot of just hard work that goes sometimes unnoticed, but is there to keep the city safe, clean, healthy, and moving. I will reiterate some points made about using 311, whether it be the mobile app that you download or the phone number you call. We've got Ergi Budo here, Director of 311. It's a great way to interact with government. Let us know how we're doing, what we're missing. We have folks on the street to react, close out cases accordingly. You may see extra trash trucks around this weekend. That is not extra trash pickup. That is just there to make sure that we can clear trash and clear material away from major arterials, any side streets. What you will also be seeing is code enforcement officers who have already been deployed with extra shifts, extra staffing levels, and have actually increased their tickets throughout the day. Throughout the week, each day by about 50 to 100. That shift structure will go on throughout the weekend, and like I said, into next week. That work will then be sent over to our hardworking men and women in the highway division and to our waste reduction contractors, who will then remove the material. But just understand that if you see trucks on the roads over the weekend, they're there to make sure that ticketed material is removed. I would also highlight downloading the Boston Trash app. It will allow you to know what is your trash day, when is your yard waste week, if your trash day has been delayed because of a holiday. All great resources you can find on boston.gov. And with that, I'll pass it over to Fire Marshal Colin Kelly.
Thanks, Mike. I'm Cole Kelly. I'm the Fire Marshal here in the city of Boston. So Boston is home to 36 colleges and universities and over 150,000 college students. Keeping these kids safe is collectively all of our number one priority. A lot of these students, this is the first time that they've lived away from home, and they haven't given a whole lot of thought about fire safety in their new residences. Statistically, we know that when the kids arrive in the fall, cooking fires go up 38%. We also know we see a big uptick in fires caused by careless disposal of smoking materials, and the last one really is candles. Now, as a parent of a college freshman myself, candles in the dorms or in the apartments, a hard no. That's people's personal choice, but that's just how, as a firefighter and a dad, that I feel about that. Two of the most important things for students to know when they're moving into their new apartment is, number one, you got to make sure that you have functional smoke and carbon monoxide detectors, and number two, you got to know where your second means of egress is. A fire or emergency is not the time to figure that out. So parents and students, please, when you move in and you're getting settled in, make sure you know where that second means of egress, whether it's a back stair or a fire escape, whatever it is. Figure that out before the emergency happens. If you guys find that your landlord hasn't provided you with adequate smoke detectors, CO, please reach out. Reach out to BFD, reach out to ISD, and we will get together with you and we'll help you solve that problem. Parents and students, don't accept an unsanitary living unit. If it's not up to snuff, you really got to reach out, make sure that they make those corrections, or reach out to the city so that we can intervene on your behalf. So with that, I'm going to pass that off to District Councilor Liz Braden.
As we know, common sense is not common. When you talk to parents who are arriving in droves this weekend, what's your message to them about safety for their kids?
Well, you know, really, it's about checking the status of the unit, making sure, as I touched on, that the smokes and the COs are working, just to stay on the fire side, you know, that they can get in and out of the building, that there's no combustibles in the stairwells, nothing that's going to cause a problem. And we also try to tell the parents to have the kids get together with their roommates and find a rally point if there is an emergency so that they can account for everybody.
You see this every year, so it's repetitive.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's certain things that you can predict for sure. I'm just going to hand that off to Councilor Liz Braden. If there weren't any other questions.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm the City Councillor for Alston Brighton District 9, Liz Braden, and I just want to wish everyone a happy Alston Christmas, first of all. This is the annual celebration of all the new folks who move into our wonderful neighbourhood. It is a time of tremendous change, but one of the ongoing consistent factors that we have here in the neighbourhood and in the city is that our city services are all out, all on board to try and ensure that our new residents, our new students, new young professionals who are arriving in the neighbourhood for the first time are safe and that they get to enjoy this wonderful city. I want to thank all the folks from City Services and encourage folks who arrive in the city and they have questions about the sanitation of their unit or whatever, call 311. That is the best and most effective way to get in touch with City Services and ensure that your concerns are addressed. Our office is always available to follow up and help further problem solve any questions folks might have. But I also encourage you to enjoy the city, enjoy this wonderful neighbourhood, get involved and really just tap into all that this neighbourhood has. We have long-term residents and we have new residents. We have lots of amenities and activities here and it's just a great place to live. So enjoy it, be safe and get involved. Thank you so much.
Liz, quick question. I've covered this for many years. I've never seen so many for rent, whether it's BC, BU, so many vacancies. Is that because rents have priced a lot of students out of the market?
I don't really have good data on that, but I think a lot of, with increasing rents, more students are choosing to maybe, more people in units, which is a big issue. But I also feel that, with the emergence of hybrid working and remote working, some folks who may be employed in the city may actually be living elsewhere and working for companies in the city. We are a host community for not just students, and there are a lot of them, but we also are a host for community for young professionals who come here for work. So I don't know if that answers your question. Yeah. Well, landlords try and get their units, get renters committed to releasing early, like starts in April. People call us and say, why is my landlord asking me to renew my lease in April? And I think those landlords that have got some capacity, some vacancies, are trying to attract folks who haven't got a place to stay. So it's all good.
Can you talk about where that falls this year? I mean, it's always around Labor Day weekend, but this year it's smack dab in the middle of Labor Day weekend when people also come to the city to visit.
Sure, yeah. So the timing of September 1 on the Labor Day weekend this year it certainly makes it more challenging. I think the number one neighborhood, I don't have the exact data point, but I believe the number one moving permit neighborhood this year is South Boston.
I don't even know if the city could intervene to change that, but like Ted said, we do these stories every year. August 31st, people who already live in the city have to leave their apartments and have nowhere to sleep, and then everybody moves in on September 1st. It seems like it's not the most efficient.
Yeah, there have been historic efforts at that, and I think there has been some success. I mean, I think what we've seen is this. While this weekend is certainly stressful, the moving period has really expanded out from like August 15th to September 15th. I mean, anecdotally, we've seen an increase in requests for sanitation services, moving permits, et cetera, starting around the middle of August. So I think it has spread out, but this September 1 is still the historic large move-in day in Boston.
Sure. There's some neighborhoods where I'm not sure if it's not allowed, but it's certainly they're not used, like the North End, for example.
So containers are allowed everywhere. It's where can you store them? And when you have the row houses, when you have the high volume building to less space, yard space, driveway, you are allowed to put out plastic bags. We ask them to be 3-ply bags, neatly tied, put together. We ask that you put them out as late as possible to give less time for the rodent activity. But there are places right now where we do allow it. Yep. North End, if you can, great. We'd love to see it at the curb, but if you can't, we'll take care of your bags. But again, 3-ply, neatly tied, put together. Thanks.
Contract, stuff like that, who do they go to? Who do they turn to in the city?
I think the best number might be the moving permits.
Yeah, I think the best data point we have is moving permits for the month of August, which again was just over 3,400 as of yesterday.
Okay. And to answer thank you. The question about landlords. So again, if you have any concerns about the conditions of your unit, obviously speak with the landlord, understand what the expectation should be. If you're not getting far in that conversation, please contact the city via 311, call our app, and we can solve that issue around the conditions of the unit. Now, if there's further conditions about contract or anything like that, you can always call also via 311 our Office of Housing Stability that can inform people about rights as a tenant.
Can you put that 3,400 number into context? Just because you're moving into an apartment across the street, you wouldn't need a permit to do that, correct?
Correct. Yeah, go ahead.
That's correct. That, there's not a requirement for a moving permit, right? So, but it does reflect the kind of larger percentage of people that are actually moving. What that data point is, we really don't have that. But for example, this neighborhood, right? A lot of people don't need a permit if they're moving from one street to the next, right? They're moving by hand, no truck. So yeah, I think that number is just a small fraction of the total number of people that are actually moving this weekend.
Do you have any advice for existing residents who are stressed about people coming into their neighborhood in such a large number?
We'll both take it. Yes, I think one is just be patient. Try to be a good neighbor. I would encourage all of us, like permanent residents and new residents, to try to meet each other and create that sense of community. It's kind of a lost art to get to know your neighbor, and I find that to be a very important experience, especially if you're alone here as a student, to start creating that support network. As far as the kind of the pains and the inconveniences that this can cause, I would say, number one, try to be patient and graceful and, have some grace. But number two, if you really do have concerns around what we've mentioned, illegal parking or the moving trucks with no permit, etc., traffic concerns, please do raise those via the 311 app. There are many situations that the city can intervene in if there's any regulations that are, not being adhered to. I don't know if you would want to add anything.
I had one more comment. I know it's outside the city's control, but the DCR road along this neighbourhood, the Storrow Drive, I'd really encourage people not to try drive a box truck down Storrow Drive. In either direction, I have seen trucks coming the wrong way on Storrow Drive. I've seen trucks getting stuck under overpasses. It's really not a good idea. And this is the big weekend for what we call Storrowing, where your truck gets stuck under an overpass. So it's not a good idea, and just reminding everybody about that. Thank you.
There are certainly regulations about when you can put out your trash. It's on your trash day. It's actually at 5 p.m. the night before. Those would be regulations for the resident, for the landlord. And as I noted before, we will have trucks out canvassing the area. But again, as I wanted to note, everything would be possible violations written through not just the weekend. This is a yearly thing that we just kind of ramp up for this season. Yes, thank you, Jessica. So just also one more point about the mattresses. We've seen We've seen improvement with the mattresses on the street by way of a brand new technology we have where you can call into 311 or use boston.gov/mattress. It allows you to schedule your mattress on the day you'd prefer if there's capacity. We're finding that with that, people who can move out know when they're going to put their mattress out rather than leaning against a tree or the pole and taking off or moving around.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll probably just do like a walk around or what have you. Yeah. Okay. So, should I just invite them? Yeah. Okay.